Pausing before reacting when someone belittles you is one of the strongest skills you can develop because that brief moment of silence allows you to take back control of a situation that was designed to knock you off balance. When a hurtful remark comes your way, the natural instinct is to defend, to strike back with equal force, or to fill the space with words so that you don't feel the sting of what was just said. But when you immediately react, you are handing over the power of your emotions to the person who tried to tear you down in the first place. That pause, even if it's only 2 or 3 seconds, gives you a space to breathe, to think, and to remind yourself that you are not required to answer everything thrown in your direction. That silence speaks volumes. It unsettles people who expect an instant fight because they thrive on the back and forth tension that rises when words fly without thought. Instead of giving them what they want, you hold your ground without saying a thing. In that stillness, you decide whether their words deserve your time or if they are simply noise you can let pass. It might feel uncomfortable at first because silence can feel like weakness, but in truth, it shows maturity, discipline, and confidence. You are choosing not to let your emotions dictate your next move, and that choice is where your strength lies. The pause also gives you space to process what was actually said. Sometimes a comment comes across as sharper than it was intended, and reacting immediately may create conflict where there doesn't need to be one. Other times, the insult is very clear, and in that silence, you realize it has nothing to do with your value and everything to do with the insecurities of the person speaking. By taking that moment to think, you see the situation for what it truly is, instead of getting swept away by the heat of the moment. That clarity keeps you from saying things you might later regret and allows you to craft a response that protects your dignity. It also changes the energy in the room. People notice when someone doesn't jump at the bait. They notice when you don't let anger or frustration spill out in front of everyone. Instead, they see you collect yourself, steady your posture, and hold a confident pause that feels unshakable. That presence earns more respect than raising your voice or throwing sharp words back. In fact, the person who belittled you may start to feel uneasy because their attempt to rattle you didn't work. They expected drama, and what they got was strength. Practicing the pause takes time because our instincts are wired for defense. It helps to rehearse it in smaller moments. Maybe when someone cuts you off in traffic or interrupts you in a meeting. Use those situations to train your ability to hold back a reaction and simply breathe before choosing your response. The more you do this, the easier it becomes to apply it when the stakes are higher and when words hit closer to home. That skill builds resilience because you are no longer easily moved by every slight or insult. You become steady, someone who is not tossed around by the opinions or actions of others. In that silence, you are not just avoiding conflict. You are showing yourself that you don't have to be pulled into every battle. You learn that confidence isn't about having the perfect comeback ready at all times. It's about being grounded enough to choose not to respond until you've decided how you want to carry yourself. That pause is not empty space. It is full of strength, full of choice, and full of the quiet power that keeps your dignity intact no matter what was said to you. Keeping your tone calm and steady when someone belittles you is one of the clearest signs of self-control, and it shows the other person that their words do not have the power to dictate your emotions. When you keep your voice level, you send the message that you are grounded, and no matter how sharp or sarcastic their comment may be, you are not going to let it shake you. Many people believe that power is shown by being louder, quicker, or more forceful in response, but real power comes from not being pulled into that storm. Your tone sets the stage for how the rest of the interaction unfolds, and a calm voice disarms tension in a way that aggression never can. When your tone rises, even if you are defending yourself, you often end up giving the impression that you are flustered or on edge. That plays into the hands of the person who tried to belittle you, because they wanted a reaction. They wanted to see you rattle, and raising your tone gives them that satisfaction. By staying calm, you flip that expectation completely around. You show them that no matter what is said, your sense of self is steady and not dependent on their approval or their attempt to tear you down. That calmness frustrates people who are looking for a fight because they realize they cannot control you the way they hoped. A steady tone also changes the way bystanders perceive the situation. People watching can tell the difference between someone who loses their composure and someone who stays in control. When you speak with calm confidence, others recognize your strength, even if you don't raise your voice or lash back. In fact, the quieter and steadier you are, the more weight your words carry. A calm statement has a way of lingering longer than something shouted in anger, because people know it comes from a place of control rather than impulse. Your tone is not only about how others hear you, it also shapes how you feel inside. Speaking calmly helps regulate your own emotions in the moment. It slows your breathing, eases the tension in your body, and allows your mind to stay clear enough to choose your words carefully. Anger clouds judgment, but calmness gives you clarity. By keeping your tone even, you are not just protecting your image, you are protecting your peace of mind. You are creating an inner environment where the insult doesn't grow louder than your own sense of worth. It helps to practice this skill before you need it. Pay attention to your voice in everyday conversations. Notice when it rises, when it speeds up, or when it feels tense. Try deliberately lowering your volume or slowing your pace when you feel irritation creeping in. This kind of practice makes it easier to apply the same control when a real challenge comes your way. That preparation builds the habit of speaking from a place of calm, so when you are tested, you don't have to force it, it comes naturally. The truth is, most people who belittle others are searching for a reaction. They want to feel bigger by making you smaller. If you meet them with agitation, you play right into their plan. But when your tone stays calm and steady, you take that power away from them. You show that their words may have reached your ears, but they did not reach your core. And that quiet steadiness leaves a stronger mark than anything loud or defensive ever could. Redirecting the comment by asking a clarifying question instead of matching their energy is a powerful way to regain control of the conversation without escalating it. When someone belittles you, they expect either silence that feels defeated or a defensive comeback that fuels the tension. By calmly asking a question, you throw off their rhythm and force them to confront the weight of their own words. It shifts the focus from you being on the defensive to them having to explain what they really meant, and often that simple redirection makes their comment lose its sting. When you ask a clarifying question, you are not giving them the emotional response they hoped for. Instead, you are calmly holding up a mirror and asking them to look at what they just said. Questions like, "What did you mean by that?" or "Why would you say that?" in this moment are not aggressive, but they carry strength. They require the other person to pause, to think, and sometimes to backpedal because they realize the impact of their words. It turns their attempt to tear you down into an uncomfortable moment of accountability. This approach also protects your dignity. Instead of lowering yourself to their level, you raise the standard of the conversation. You are not shouting or insulting back, but you are also not letting their words slide by unnoticed. The act of questioning communicates that you value yourself enough to confront disrespect, but you do it in a way that feels composed and intelligent. People around you notice the difference between someone who lashes out and someone who calmly asks for clarity, and they respect the person who chooses composure. The beauty of redirecting with a question is that it keeps the spotlight where it belongs. Instead of making it about your reaction, it makes it about their behavior. They have to either justify themselves, soften their tone, or retreat from the conversation entirely. In any case, you have shown that you won't let disrespect stand unchecked, and you did so without losing your cool. This is a form of control that leaves you looking confident and collected while leaving them to sit with the weight of their own choice of words. It is important to practice the delivery of these questions. They should come across calm and neutral, not dripping with sarcasm or hostility. The goal is not to embarrass the other person, but to disarm them. A steady voice, direct eye contact, and a simple question are enough to shift the balance of power in your favor. Over time, this method becomes natural, and you find that people who once tried to belittle you think twice before doing it again, because they know you won't react the way they expect. you will respond with strength that requires them to look at themselves instead. Using body language that shows confidence is often more powerful than any words you could speak when someone tries to belittle you. Before you even open your mouth, people notice the way you stand, the way you look at them, and the energy you project. If your shoulders slump, your eyes drop, or your arms fold tightly in front of you, it signals that their words have landed and pushed you into retreat. But when you straighten your posture, lift your chin, and keep your movements calm and deliberate, you send a clear message that you are not shaken, even if their comment was designed to do exactly that. Eye contact plays one of the most important roles here. Looking someone in the eye when they attempt to cut you down communicates self-assurance without you having to raise your voice. It shows that you are present, unafraid, and unwilling to shrink away from the moment. You don't need to glare or stare in anger, but steady and calm eye contact signals that you are confident in your worth and that their words cannot move you. Combined with relaxed shoulders and a balanced stance, this body language creates an image of stability that others instinctively respect. Even the way you use your hands and gestures matters. Fidgeting, crossing your arms, or shrinking into yourself gives the impression that the other person's comment has unsettled you. Keeping your gestures open, natural, and steady communicates the opposite, that you are composed and in control. When you move with intention rather than nervousness, you are silently telling the room that you belong in this space and that no one's attempt to minimize you will succeed. These are small details, but together they build an undeniable presence. Confidence in body language also comes from pace. If you rush your words, shuffle your feet, or move abruptly, it reflects inner tension. But when your pace is calm and measured, it shows you are grounded. Even something as simple as pausing before you respond, standing tall in that silence, and letting the moment breathe can make the other person realize they have no hold over you. In that space, your body communicates everything your words may not need to. Practicing confident body language is just as important as practicing calm responses. You can rehearse it in daily life by being mindful of how you carry yourself in small situations, walking into a room, introducing yourself, or sitting at a table. Each of these moments is an opportunity to build the habit of presence. Over time, this habit becomes part of who you are, so when you face belittling remarks, your body naturally steps into that posture of strength without effort. The remarkable thing about body language is that it not only affects how others see you, but it also changes how you feel about yourself in the moment. Standing tall, keeping your posture open, and moving with steadiness can shift your own mindset from defensive to confident. It reminds you that you are in control of yourself, and no one's words can take away the power you project with how you carry your presence. Keeping boundaries clear and choosing when not to engage at all is one of the strongest responses you can give to someone who belittles you, because it shows that you value your energy enough not to waste it where it does not belong. Not every comment deserves a reply, and not every person has earned the right to pull you into a back and forth. Setting boundaries is about recognizing that your time, peace, and self-respect are more important than proving a point to someone who thrives on cutting others down. It takes strength to walk away or to remain silent, because silence in the right moment is not weakness. It is a decision to rise above. Boundaries start with clarity about what you will and will not tolerate. When you know where your lines are, you no longer feel the need to debate every insult or defend yourself in every situation. You can recognize quickly when someone has crossed that line, and instead of reacting, you decide whether they are worth your attention. Sometimes that means simply moving on with no response at all. Other times, it means stating directly that their words are not acceptable and then refusing to continue the conversation. Either way, you are the one in control of how far it goes, not them. Not engaging is often more effective than arguing because people who belittle usually want your reaction. They want to see you defend, explain, or break down. When you refuse to give them that satisfaction, their words fall flat They lose their power the moment you stop feeding them with energy. This is why ignoring certain comments or walking away can feel uncomfortable at first, but ultimately leaves you stronger. You are protecting your inner peace, and that protection is more valuable than any clever comeback. Boundaries also teach others how to treat you. When people see that you do not respond to disrespect, they learn that belittling you is not a way to get attention. They recognize that if they want to be in your space, they must speak to you with respect, because anything less gets nothing in return. Over time, your consistent boundaries shape the way others interact with you, and you attract people who value and respect your presence. Practicing this requires self-discipline. It means being comfortable with the silence that follows when you don't answer back. It means resisting the temptation to prove yourself to someone who is not worth the effort. At first, it may feel like you are letting them win by not responding, but the truth is you are showing that you don't even consider them worthy of a contest. You win by protecting your energy, by refusing to be pulled down into negativity, and by standing firm in the boundaries you have set for yourself. That decision is one of the clearest expressions of confidence you can carry. Affirming your own worth privately is what keeps you steady long after the belittling moment has passed, because no matter how composed you appear on the outside, words can still linger in your mind. When someone tries to make you feel small, it is easy to replay their comment and let it echo louder than it should. This is why taking time to remind yourself of who you are and what you stand for is essential. Confidence is not built in public moments alone. It is built in the quiet spaces where you reaffirm your value to yourself. This can look different for everyone. For some, it is repeating a phrase that centers their identity, something that cuts through the noise of outside voices. For others, it is journaling the truth about their strengths, their accomplishments, and the things they are proud of. So when negativity creeps in, there is a record of reality to lean on. It may even be as simple as pausing at the end of the day to reflect on what you handled well, reminding yourself that one person's attempt to belittle you does not define your story. These private affirmations are not about ignoring the pain, but about replacing the false narrative with truth. The power of affirming yourself privately is that it builds resilience. Each time you counter a harsh word with a reminder of your strength, you are training your mind not to hold on to what was meant to harm you. Over time, this habit strengthens the voice inside you that says you are enough, you are capable, and you are not defined by someone else's opinion. That inner voice becomes louder and steadier, so the next time someone tries to cut you down, their words do not land the same way because they are up against a foundation you have already built. It also shifts your focus away from the person who tried to hurt you and back onto yourself where it belongs. Instead of carrying their words into your day, you carry your own truth. That is how confidence grows, not from pretending you are unaffected, but from reminding yourself that you are more than one careless comment. The practice of affirming your worth privately keeps you aligned with your values, grounded in your identity, and strong enough to move forward without carrying the weight of someone else's attempt to diminish you.